Welcome back to the tutorials. Now in this part we'll be looking at the interface of the Adobe Dreamweaver CS4. When you first launch Dreamweaver CS4, this is what you see. At first it's not much to look at, but as you go along you discover that it gets more interesting and maybe a little complex. The first thing you need to do in getting started is to come to this create new and click on HTML. I explained in the earlier tutorial that the core of web design that we are going to be looking at is HTML, and HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now you click on HTML and you have this. Now your Dreamweaver application comes alive. Now this white area you see right here is called your work area, and this is pretty much where you do almost all your work in Dreamweaver CS4. Now this one down here at the bottom is called your property inspector. What this does is simple. When you are on a property, when you are on an item, it could be an image, it could be a video, or it could be a text. The property of that item shows up here. Let me give you an example. Let's open a web page, an already created web page. Let us look for one. Let us look for this that has an image. Now let us click on this image. You know the image is highlighted with these 4 dots that you see around the image. Now you can see here that the properties of the image shows up. You have the width of the image, the source of the image, the height of the image, and quite a number of properties. Now let us highlight a text like we have here. Let us highlight this text. You can see that the font of the text shows up, the size of the text, the color of the text, and the background color shows up. Now this is what a property inspector does. It's the same thing when you're on a video. The properties of the video all shows up here. Now we are done with this. Let us close it. Now coming back to our interface, this you have other tabs on the right and on the top, but as we go on we'll be looking at what each of these tabs does. If at any point you don't understand something, don't worry. As we go along, you get to start understanding them. Now at this top right here is what we call your title bar. This is where you put the title of your web page that you are designing. Like you have seen in other websites, every web page has a title, and it is this title of the web page that shows up in your browser. When we get to that, you learn more about that. Now let us come to this part at the top right hand corner. This part is what we call a workspace switcher. Now there are quite a number of work pages that ship with Adobe Dreamweaver. By this I mean that Dreamweaver has some default workspace that comes with it. Now I'm in the classic workspace. I prefer to work in the classic workspace. Now if I click this arrow right here, this arrow right here is called a drop down arrow. What it shows is that it tells me that there are quite a number of other items beneath this arrow, and when I click them I see all the other items. If I click on Coda, the whole application, the whole interface changes, and I see more of what looks like codes and HTMLs and codes. Now I can click on this workspace and come to designer and still see quite a number of different outlook. Now let's go back to our classic, and this is what we have. Okay, yeah, don't worry about you soon understand what I'm doing. Now some people might not like this interface the way it is. They might just prefer to have their CSS style down here, and let me teach you how you can customize your own workspace to suit your own need. Now let us assume I prefer to have the CSS style somewhere maybe here. I simply click on it, hold down my left button and bring it down to where I want it to be. The moment you see that red line, that blue outline rather, it tells you that it is ready to be fixed in position, and once you release your mouse it stays in position. Let's assume I also don't like where this tag inspector is and I want it to be beside the CSS tag. I simply click on this tag inspector with my left button still held down. I drag to where I want it to be, and once you see that blue outline, you release your left button and it stays in position. Now when you are done with all this, you need to save your workspace, because if you do not save your workspace and you restart the Dreamweaver application, all what you've done will be lost. So to save your workspace, you simply come down to this workspace switcher, click on it, and you come straight down to where you have new workspace. Now a box shows up prompting you to type in a name. This name is simply the name you want to give to your new workspace, and then in my case I would like to give it my name. I would like to give it Emmanuel, and you click OK. It tells me that I have a workspace currently named Emmanuel. That's okay to rename it. But in your case, if you do not have a workspace previously named, you can put in any other name, and that new name that you have stays up here. In my case, I have Emmanuel, stays up here. Now this workspace is Emmanuel. If I now at this point close this Dreamweaver application and relaunch it, I will still have my workspace intact. Now let us come back to our old workspace, Classic. If you are not satisfied with your present workspace and you want to go back to your previous workspace, it's simple. Come back to the workspace switcher and choose the workspace you want to be on. That does it for me. Now this is what we have. Like I said, when you launch the Dreamweaver and you come into the create new, now the first thing you need to understand is what we have up here at the top left corner. You see, Dreamweaver is what we call a WYSIWYG text editor. By this I mean WYSIWYG simply means what you see is what you get. What this simply means is that you can actually pick elements such as images, videos and text and put them in the position you want them to be on your website. Now let us go ahead. These elements you see at the top left hand corner of your page here, this code, split and designs are things that we really need to give attention to. Now let us assume you are someone that prefers to write codes. You prefer to work in codes than you prefer to see designs. You simply click on this code and your view changes to code view. Here you can now write all your codes and put them here. If you are comfortable with this, Dreamweaver accommodates it. If you are such person that prefers to see the graphics of what you're doing, you prefer to see the images and put them where you want, you prefer to see the videos and put them where you want, then that you prefer to work in the design view. This is the view that allows you to see what you want and put them where you think they should be. Now if you would like to work having both the design view and the code view in front of you, you simply come to this split and you have the code view at the top and the design view just beneath. That way when you are doing a design, you can actually Dreamweaver translates it into code and you can see the code of the design that you are currently making. So pretty much this is it for the interface of the Dreamweaver CS4. Also in conclusion, let us come to this top. This for every application has a file, edit and view and all that. And pretty much as we continue in the tutorials, you'll be seeing us use some of these commands and you get to understand them the more. Let us move on to the next tutorial. Thank you.